Hey guys, tonight we're embarking on a journey that could send shivers down your spine. Picture yourself at sea, the air is thick with salt, the waves crash against the hull, and the dark abyss of the ocean stretches endlessly in every direction. But there's something off in the distance, a flicker of light, a ship drifting aimlessly, and you've got that sinking feeling that something isn't right. You probably won't survive this. Well, not unless you're ready to face the unknown. Before we get started, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop me a comment letting me know where you're tuning in from and what time it is there. Let's make tonight feel a little more personal. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. We'll sail through some of the most eerie maritime mysteries that have ever been recorded, the kind that have kept sailors awake at night and sent chills down the spines of those brave enough to search for answers. Shipwrecks, ghost ships, vanishing crews, cursed treasures. There's more to the sea than what meets the eye. And tonight, we're diving deep into these spine-tingling tales. You might never look at the ocean the same way again. Now, settle in. We're about to venture where even the bravest dare not tread. The call of the deep, mysterious disappearances at sea. The ocean stretches endlessly before you, a vast rolling expanse that beckons, promises, and hides secrets all at once. The call of the sea is irresistible, yet dangerous. An endless horizon where the waves can be as calm as glass one moment and deadly the next. You stand at the edge of this great, unknowable force, contemplating the fates of those who've sailed into its depths. There's something inherently unnerving about the idea of disappearing into the ocean. No trace, no evidence, just gone. And yet throughout history, there have been countless tales of ships' crews and entire vessels lost without a single clue as to where they've gone. You've heard of them, of course. The disappearances that haunt the pages of maritime history. Ships that were once sturdy, reliable, yet vanished without a whisper. There's a reason that those ancient sailors' stories, warnings passed down through generations, still resonate with us. The ocean is no place to be taken lightly, and you're about to learn just why. The fear of the sea is as old as time itself. From the time people first ventured out into the unknown, there have been those who set sail and simply never returned. Some of these disappearances can be attributed to natural forces, the treacherous storms, the swirling currents, the sudden squalls that appear out of nowhere. But sometimes, no explanation can be found. What happens when the sea decides to take more than just your ship? What is it about the vast, unyielding expanse of the ocean that turns an ordinary voyage into something that leaves only questions? Historians still argue whether it's the allure of these unsolved mysteries, or the sheer terror of the unknown that has kept these tales alive. Is it the thought of lost treasure at the bottom of the sea, or the chilling possibility that some vessels sail on long after their crews have perished? For some, the mysteries are just stories, legends passed down by weary sailors who were too superstitious for their own good. But for others, these are warnings. They speak of dark waters, of ships that leave no wake behind, no body to recover. It's a chilling thought, but it's one you can't help but dwell on, especially as the ocean quietly roars beneath you. The first tale that echoes through history is one that speaks to that same fear. It's a story that begins with a ship that should have never been able to disappear. It was perfectly seaworthy, a symbol of human achievement, and yet it vanished without a trace. The fate of the Mary Celeste, a story so enigmatic it has spawned decades of theories, could be the beginning of understanding just how eerie the sea can truly be. The Mary Celeste, the abandoned ship that haunts the waves. Imagine sailing across the ocean, the sea stretching endlessly beneath you, the wind soft and steady, the horizon an endless line of blue. Now picture this, a ship, a typical merchant vessel of the 19th century, gleaming under the midday sun. Everything seems normal, too normal. But as you approach, a strange realization sets in. There's no movement on deck, no sign of life. The sails are set, the ship is drifting, but there's not a soul in sight. Welcome to the Mary Celeste, a ship that has haunted maritime lore for over a century. On December 4th, 1872, the Mary Celeste was found abandoned in the Atlantic Ocean, off the coast of the Azores. The ship was in good condition, its cargo intact, and there were no signs of damage that would suggest a violent attack. But the most perplexing thing? There was no sign of the crew. The lifeboat was gone, but the ship itself was perfectly intact, the crew's belongings left behind as if they had simply vanished into thin air. Historians still argue whether the ship's abandonment was due to a simple case of misfortune or something far more mysterious. Some believe the crew might have abandoned ship in a panic, thinking the ship was sinking, but the waterline and the condition of the ship didn't support that theory. Others speculate that the crew was caught in a storm or a wave large enough to frighten them into abandoning the ship. But no one can quite explain why everything was left behind, as though the crew had simply disappeared without warning. Theories about what happened range from the plausible to the utterly bizarre. Some believe it was an encounter with a sea monster, while others point to a mutiny gone wrong. There are even those who suggest supernatural forces might have been at play. Whatever the truth, the Mary Celeste's fate remains unsolved to this day. In fact, the mystery of the ship has been so enduring that it has inspired countless novels, films, and conspiracy theories over the years. One particularly intriguing theory posits that the ship was abandoned due to a chemical reaction in the cargo hold. The Mary Celeste was carrying barrels of industrial alcohol, and some speculate that the fumes from the alcohol may have caused the crew to become disoriented or even hallucinate, leading them to believe the ship was sinking. In a panic, they abandoned ship without realizing that it was still seaworthy. But no matter the theory, one thing is certain: the story of the Mary Celeste continues to captivate the imaginations of those who are fascinated by the unknown. What would drive a crew to abandon a perfectly functional ship, leaving behind all their possessions and their hopes of survival? Could they have encountered something so terrifying that their minds simply couldn't comprehend it? As you drift further into the story, consider how many other sailors have faced that same terror: the fear of the deep, the fear of vanishing into the vastness of the ocean, with no one left to tell their story. This theme echoes in many maritime mysteries, where whole crews and vessels are swallowed up by the sea, leaving only a ghostly trail behind. The Mary Celeste remains one of the most chilling examples of the sea's power to erase all signs of life. Whether you believe in ghost ships or just in the power of human imagination, the story of the Mary Celeste invites you to wonder, could something like this happen again? Or are there mysteries so profound that no amount of explanation will ever satisfy? Ghost ships, the phantoms of the sea. The sea is a vast, empty world where the boundary between reality and the supernatural is often blurred. And if there's one phenomenon that continues to send chills down sailors' spines, it's the appearance of ghost ships. Vessels that drift aimlessly, their crew long gone, their stories untold. Picture this: a dark silhouette against the setting sun, a ship drifting quietly through the waves. As you approach, you see no signs of life, but the ship sails on, undisturbed. No one's aboard, yet the ship continues its eerie course. Could it be a ghost ship? One of the most famous ghost ships is the Flying Dutchman, which has appeared in countless maritime legends. First recorded in the 17th century, the Dutchman is said to be a ship doomed to sail the seas for eternity, never able to dock. The story goes that the ship's captain, cursed to sail forever, is often seen by sailors as a harbinger of doom. But the Flying Dutchman is not alone. Many ships, throughout history, have been spotted drifting without a crew, and while most of them can be explained by human error or misfortune, some still send shivers down the spine. What causes these ghostly vessels to appear? Some theories suggest that these ships are simply abandoned, left to drift when their crews perish or abandon ship. But other explanations are a bit more sinister. Some believe that ghost ships are cursed, ships that have committed unspeakable acts or been lost to the sea, returning from beyond the grave to haunt the living. After all, in a world as unpredictable as the ocean, who's to say that some of these ghost ships aren't the spirits of sailors who never truly left the sea? One of the most chilling real-life instances occurred in 1872, when the crew of the Mary Celeste, as you've learned, mysteriously disappeared. While this might not exactly fit the definition of a ghost ship, it certainly left behind an eerie air. What if they vanished, not because of a storm or shipwreck, but because something much darker was at play? After all, the ocean can be unforgiving, and some believe that it may claim not just the ship, but the souls of those aboard, sending them to sail for eternity. Theories surrounding ghost ships range from the practical to the supernatural. Some say these phantom vessels are simply victims of miscommunication. After all, sailors are notorious for their superstitions, and a ship seen drifting with no crew aboard might be misinterpreted as a ghostly apparition. However, when more and more ships, hundreds, even thousands of miles apart, report sightings of strange vessels, it becomes harder to dismiss the idea that something truly unexplainable is happening. Take, for example, the story of the SS Orang Medan, a Dutch freighter that was found adrift in the Strait of Malacca in 1947. According to reports, when rescuers boarded the ship, they found the entire crew dead, their faces frozen in expressions of terror. Even more chilling, there was no sign of any physical harm. The ship was found with no injuries to the crew, no apparent cause of death, and yet the terror on their faces was unmistakable. Was it some sort of mysterious disease? Or did the crew fall victim to something far worse, something that caused their death without leaving a trace? The sea is full of mysteries like these, phantom vessels that appear without warning, only to disappear once more into the waves. Sailors have long whispered about the ghostly ships that wander the oceans, their spectral crews condemned to sail for eternity. While some of these ghost ships are easily explained away, others, like the Flying Dutchman and the Orang Medan, suggest that the ocean might be home to more than just the living. As you settle into the story, consider the eerie possibilities. Could you be the one to see a ghost ship one day? And if so, what would you do if you found yourself drifting toward one? Would you turn back, or would you, like countless sailors before you, be drawn in by the mysterious allure of the sea, never quite able to escape its grip? There's one thing for certain, the sea is never as empty as it seems. And sometimes, the most dangerous ships are the ones that never sail away. The Bermuda Triangle, the ultimate oceanic enigma. For centuries, the Bermuda Triangle has been a source of mystery, fear, and fascination. Spanning an area between Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, this region of the Atlantic Ocean has become infamous for its high number of aircraft and vessels that have vanished without a trace. The sea here, vast and unpredictable, seems to devour all it touches. But is it the sea itself, or is there something more sinister at play? The stories of ships and planes disappearing in the Bermuda Triangle are enough to make anyone uneasy. One of the earliest and most famous incidents occurred in 1945, when 5 U.S. Navy bombers, known as Flight 19, disappeared during a routine training mission. The pilots reported disorienting compass malfunctions and were unable to navigate, eventually losing contact with their base. Despite a massive search effort, no trace of the bombers or their crew was ever found. What happened to Flight 19? Did they simply fall victim to the dangers of a storm or malfunction? Or did the Bermuda Triangle claim them in a more inexplicable way? Historians and scientists still argue about the causes of the Bermuda Triangle's strange reputation. Some say the area is plagued by unpredictable weather patterns, such as violent storms, sudden drops in temperature, or powerful underwater currents that can create whirlpools capable of swallowing ships. Others suggest the presence of methane gas deposits on the ocean floor could cause ships to sink quickly, while magnetic anomalies in the region could disrupt navigation instruments, leading to disorientation. Yet, despite these possible explanations, many of the disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle remain unexplained, fueling theories that the area is the home of something more fantastical. Some suggest that there is a hidden underwater city, perhaps the remnants of Atlantis, whose ancient technology could be causing these mysterious disappearances. Others have speculated that the Bermuda Triangle is a portal to another dimension, or even the site of extraterrestrial activity. Could it be that the Bermuda Triangle is a place where the laws of physics as we understand them no longer apply? One particularly intriguing theory involves the lost city of Atlantis, an ancient civilization said to have sunk beneath the waves in a single day and night of catastrophic events. The idea that the Bermuda Triangle could be the site of Atlantis, its ruins still causing strange phenomena, has captivated the imaginations of explorers, scientists, and conspiracy theorists alike. Could the Bermuda Triangle be a gateway to this long-lost city, hidden beneath the ocean's depths, still somehow affecting the world above? But regardless of what theory you subscribe to, the Bermuda Triangle continues to be one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the sea. Perhaps it's the unpredictability of the region that keeps sailors and travelers on edge, or perhaps it's the thought that, just beyond the horizon, there might be a place where the normal rules of nature don't apply. As you drift further into the story, consider the implications of the Bermuda Triangle's enigma. Could it be the sea's own version of a black hole, where ships, planes, and their passengers are simply swallowed up without a trace? Or is it something more, something that defies all human understanding? Whatever it is, the Bermuda Triangle remains a region of the ocean that holds more questions than answers, its mysteries yet to be solved. So, next time you find yourself sailing into these waters, or perhaps even just daydreaming about it, remember the stories that have come before you. The Bermuda Triangle isn't just a place on a map. It's a legend that continues to haunt the oceans, keeping its secrets locked beneath the waves, waiting for the next ship, the next soul, to become part of its history. The Flying Dutchman, a curse that never ends. Imagine standing on the deck of your ship, the wind howling through your hair, the sky darkening as a storm approaches. You look out across the churning waters, and there, on the horizon, you see it, a ship, illuminated by a ghostly light, its sails billowing despite the lack of wind. The ship appears to be moving closer, but as it does, it seems to glide over the waves, never getting any nearer. This is the Flying Dutchman, a ship cursed to sail the seas forever, its crew doomed to never set foot on land again. The story of the Flying Dutchman has captivated sailors for centuries, its origins rooted in the golden age of sail. According to legend, the ship was captained by a man named Hendrik van der Decken, who was determined to complete a voyage to the East Indies, no matter the cost. As the story goes, Van der Decken's ship encountered a powerful storm off the coast of the Cape of Good Hope in South Africa. With the storm raging, Van der Decken, in a fit of defiance, swore he would sail through the storm, no matter what. He is said to have shouted, "I'll round the Cape, even if it takes till Judgment Day." But Van der Decken's hubris came at a terrible price. The ship, according to the legend, was cursed for the captain's arrogance, and it is said that Van der Decken and his crew were condemned to sail the seas for eternity, never able to dock or find peace. Sailors who have seen the Flying Dutchman are said to be doomed to bad luck, and those who encounter it are often fated to die at sea. Historians still debate whether the Flying Dutchman was based on an actual ship or whether it is purely the stuff of legend. Some believe it was a real vessel, possibly a Dutch East India Company ship that disappeared during an ill-fated voyage in the 17th century. Others argue that the Flying Dutchman is simply a symbolic representation of the dangers of the sea and the consequences of defying nature. While the details of the legend remain murky, the Flying Dutchman has become one of the most enduring tales of the sea. Throughout history, there have been numerous sightings of a ship resembling the Flying Dutchman, often accompanied by strange lights or eerie sounds. Sailors would report seeing the ship on the horizon, only for it to vanish when they tried to approach. Some accounts suggest that the ship was seen sailing against the wind, as if it were powered by some unnatural force. One particularly famous sighting occurred in 1881, when a British ship, the HMS Bacchante, claimed to have encountered the Flying Dutchman off the coast of South Africa. According to the crew, they saw a ghostly ship sailing through the fog, its sails billowing despite the lack of wind. The crew was said to have watched in awe as the ship vanished before their eyes. Some of the crew even reported that the encounter caused a series of misfortunes aboard the Bacchante, leading to the belief that the curse of the Flying Dutchman was real. The story of the Flying Dutchman speaks to the deep fear that sailors have always had of the unknown. The sea is a place of unpredictability, and the idea that a ship could be doomed to sail forever without ever finding land is a terrifying thought. It represents the ultimate consequence of challenging the power of nature and the unforgiving waters of the ocean. As you reflect on the legend of the Flying Dutchman, consider the terrifying possibility that there could be a ship, lost in time, still out there, forever trapped in the storm that claimed it. Could the curse of the Flying Dutchman be real? Or is it simply another tale spun by superstitious sailors in an attempt to explain the inexplicable? Whatever the answer, the story of the Flying Dutchman endures, reminding us all of the dark side of the sea, where even the bravest souls may never find peace. The USS Cyclops, a naval ship lost in time. The deep waters of the ocean hold countless secrets, and some of those secrets are tied to the most unexpected places. Take, for example, the USS Cyclops, a massive U.S. Navy collier ship that disappeared without a trace during a routine voyage in 1918. Despite its size and the resources available to search for it, the Cyclops vanished as if it had been swallowed by the sea. It is one of the largest non-combat related losses of life in U.S. naval history, and its disappearance remains a haunting mystery. The USS Cyclops, built to carry coal for the Navy, was a vital vessel in the supply chain during World War I. In March of 1918, the ship set sail from the island of Barbados, heading toward Baltimore with a full load of coal. But somewhere along the way, the ship simply disappeared. No distress calls were received, and no wreckage was found. The only sign that the ship had ever existed was a final message sent by its captain, which simply stated that the ship was experiencing some engine trouble but was otherwise fine. As the days passed and the ship failed to make port, a massive search was launched. U.S. Navy ships combed the Atlantic, but no trace of the Cyclops was ever discovered. The absence of wreckage or even a distress signal raised many questions, and theories about the ship's disappearance began to circulate. Some suggested that the ship had suffered from a catastrophic structural failure, such as a burst hull or an explosion. But no physical evidence ever surfaced to support these claims. Historians and investigators still debate the possible causes of the Cyclops' disappearance. Some believe that the ship was lost to a storm, with rogue waves or an undersea earthquake causing it to sink without leaving any trace. Others suggest that a mechanical failure, perhaps related to the ship's engines or its cargo, may have led to the loss. There are also theories that the ship was the victim of sabotage, possibly from German U-boats during World War I, though this idea remains largely speculative. Some even entertain the possibility that the ship's disappearance was caused by a natural phenomenon, such as a methane gas release or a sudden magnetic anomaly that caused the ship's navigation systems to fail. What's particularly unsettling about the Cyclops' disappearance is the fact that it was a ship of such great size and significance. The Cyclops was one of the largest ships in the Navy at the time, and it was carrying a full complement of 309 men, including sailors, officers, and civilian workers. The loss of a ship this large, and with so many aboard, should have left behind some trace. But instead, the ocean swallowed it whole. There have been some theories that tie the disappearance of the Cyclops to the Bermuda Triangle, a region known for its strange disappearances. The area, located roughly between the points where the Cyclops was last seen, has long been associated with mysterious vanishings of ships and planes. Some suggest that the Bermuda Triangle could be a place where the very laws of physics are bent, causing ships to vanish without a trace. Others point to the possibility of underwater currents or magnetic anomalies disrupting navigation systems, though no concrete evidence has ever confirmed these theories. The disappearance of the USS Cyclops remains one of the great unsolved mysteries of the sea. Despite decades of research, no one has been able to explain what happened to the ship or why it was never found. Some believe that the answer lies in the deep, dark waters of the ocean, where even the largest ships can disappear without a trace. Others hold on to the hope that the ship's remains will one day be discovered, offering closure to one of the most enduring maritime mysteries. As you reflect on the fate of the USS Cyclops, imagine the helplessness of the crew and the families waiting for their loved ones to return. The ship's disappearance serves as a reminder that the sea, no matter how vast or how familiar, is still full of secrets waiting to be uncovered. And sometimes those secrets are meant to stay hidden forever. The ghost of the Titanic, death on the iceberg's edge. When the Titanic sank on April 15, 1912, it became the most infamous maritime disaster in history. More than 1,500 people perished in the icy waters of the North Atlantic, but even in death, the ship's legacy has lived on. The Titanic was billed as unsinkable, a marvel of modern engineering, and its tragic end shattered that illusion. But beyond the devastation of the iceberg collision lies something even more unsettling. Stories of ghostly apparitions and eerie sightings that continue to haunt the Titanic's legacy. Many of the survivors of the Titanic reported strange experiences before and after the disaster, but perhaps the most chilling are the accounts of those who claim to have seen the ghost of the ship itself. Over the years, there have been reports of mysterious lights on the horizon in the same area where the Titanic sank, some even describing the silhouette of the ship appearing on the waves. One of the most famous accounts comes from the 1950s, when a group of passengers aboard a ship crossing the same waters claimed to have seen the Titanic's outline in the fog. Some say it was an optical illusion caused by the fog or the reflection of light on the water, but others believe the ship's spirit lingers in the depths, forever trapped between worlds. The ghostly sightings of the Titanic aren't limited to the ship's wreck site. There have also been reports of ghostly apparitions aboard ships that sailed over the same waters, or even near the docks where the Titanic was first built. These sightings are often accompanied by a chilling sense of dread, with people reporting feelings of being watched or followed by something they can't explain. Could it be that the spirits of those who perished aboard the Titanic still roam the waters, never finding rest? Historically, the Titanic's ghostly presence has been connected to the ship's final moments. The moment the iceberg struck, the passengers and crew were thrown into chaos. In the panic and confusion, many didn't realize the severity of the damage until it was too late. As the ship slowly sank into the frigid water, some passengers reportedly had premonitions of their doom. It's said that some even knew they would not survive the disaster. Was this an eerie premonition, or did the Titanic leave behind some dark, lingering energy? As if the tragedy weren't haunting enough, the area around the Titanic's wreck site has since become a place of strange occurrences. Divers who have visited the site have spoken of an unexplainable sense of dread as they approach the wreckage. Some claim to have felt an eerie chill in the water, despite the relative warmth of the ocean. Others have heard strange sounds that they couldn't quite place, distant noises, like voices or the faint sound of a ship's bell ringing through the deep. Theories surrounding the Titanic's ghostly encounters range from the paranormal to the psychological. Some believe that the stories are a result of the human mind grappling with the trauma of such a large-scale disaster. Perhaps it's our way of making sense of the unthinkable, of trying to come to terms with the sheer number of lives lost and the immense scale of the tragedy. Others, however, believe that there's something more at play, that the Titanic's ghost still sails the seas, eternally bound to the place where it met its doom. The Titanic story is one of tragedy and loss, but it also continues to captivate and haunt the imaginations of those who encounter it. Whether the ghostly sightings are simply the result of overactive imaginations or something more profound, there's no denying the enduring legacy of the ship. Could the Titanic's restless spirit still linger beneath the waves? Or is it simply the weight of history, forever etched in the sea, that keeps its memory alive? As you settle into the mystery of the Titanic, consider the enormity of the loss and the eerie possibility that, just below the surface, the ship still waits to reveal its final secrets. The sea is full of mysteries, and some, like the Titanic's ghost, may never be fully explained. But that doesn't stop us from trying to understand what lies beneath. The island of the dead, ships found, but no survivors. In the vast expanse of the ocean, islands often serve as lifelines, places of refuge, fresh water, and shelter. But what happens when an island is found, not by a traveler seeking refuge, but by a ship that has mysteriously vanished? It is a haunting paradox, a place of life, yet somehow a place of death. The island of the dead is no mere legend. It's a real eerie phenomenon that continues to perplex explorers and sailors alike. One such island is the one known as the Island of the Dead, located in the South Pacific. For centuries, the island has been the site of numerous shipwrecks, where vessels and their crews have disappeared only to be discovered later, stranded and lifeless. In many of these cases, the ships were found intact, their cargo and supplies untouched, yet there were no survivors. The most unsettling part of these discoveries is the complete absence of any explanation for what happened to the crew. The ships were found abandoned, with no evidence of a struggle, no signs of foul play, just eerie silence. The mystery surrounding these islands has led to theories that range from the logical to the supernatural. Some believe the island is cursed, a place where sailors are doomed to disappear. Others suggest that the island might possess a unique geographic feature, such as magnetic anomalies or poisonous plants, that causes those who land there to meet an untimely end. The idea that the island itself has a malevolent force at work is a popular explanation, though no one has been able to prove it. One of the most chilling stories involves a ship called the Seabird, which was found near an island in the South Pacific in the early 1800s. The ship had been missing for months, and when it was finally discovered, the crew was gone. There were no signs of struggle, no blood, no bodies. The ship's cargo had been undisturbed, and the ship's log was still intact. But what was missing were the crew members. Every last one of them vanished without a trace. To this day, no one knows what happened to them, and the mystery remains unsolved. Another strange occurrence happened on the island of Vanikoro in the Solomon Islands. The ship HMS Pandora, in pursuit of the mutineers from the Bounty Downey, was wrecked in 1791, and its survivors made their way to the island. However, when rescuers arrived, they found the ship abandoned, with no survivors in sight. Despite extensive searches, no trace of the men was ever found. Was it a case of foul play? A deadly disease that wiped out the crew? Or was the island itself to blame, as the eerie legend suggests? The Island of the Dead is not confined to the South Pacific either. In fact, there are numerous reports of ships that have been found abandoned in other parts of the world, from the Caribbean to the Arctic. Each time, the mystery remains the same: a ship found, but no crew. The disappearance of these vessels is so eerie, it has sparked countless theories about what may have occurred. Some suggest that mutiny or piracy was involved, while others speculate about the possibility of a hidden, dangerous force on the island, one that preys on those who unknowingly wander too close. As you contemplate the haunting possibility that such an island exists, imagine being on a ship, feeling the pull of the island in the distance, unaware of the fate that awaits. Would you turn away, knowing that so many ships before you had vanished without a trace? Or would you be drawn in, believing that perhaps the island's deadly secret was just a myth, a tale spun by superstitious sailors? Either way, you'd be in the same position as those before you, a part of a mystery that may never be solved. The Island of the Dead is just one more example of how the sea is full of places that should not be visited, places where the normal rules of the world don't apply, where even the most experienced sailors disappear without a trace. These islands, though they remain unnamed on most maps, have carved their place in maritime folklore as places where life ends and mystery begins. And while the sea may be vast, its mysteries are far from endless. The vanishing of the ghost fleet of the Great Lakes. The ocean is not the only body of water that has seen its fair share of mysterious disappearances. The Great Lakes, often referred to as the inland seas, have long been a hotspot for maritime mysteries, including ghost ships and vanishing vessels. While the Great Lakes may not have the same vastness as the oceans, they are no less deadly or mysterious. In fact, the relatively confined waters of the Great Lakes often make the disappearances there even more baffling. With their unpredictable weather, sudden storms, and shifting currents, the lakes have claimed more than their share of ships and sailors, some of whom may have vanished for reasons we still can't explain. The most famous of these disappearances is that of the SS Edmund Fitzgerald, which sank in a fierce storm on November 10, 1975, taking all 29 crew members with it. The Fitzgerald was a massive bulk freighter, considered one of the largest ships on the lakes at the time. Yet, in a matter of hours, it was gone, disappearing into the depths of Lake Superior. The cause of the sinking remains a subject of debate, with theories ranging from a structural failure to the ship being overwhelmed by the storm. But what makes the disappearance of the Fitzgerald even more chilling is the fact that no distress call was made, and no remains of the ship were discovered until the wreck was found deep beneath the waves years later. Historians still argue over whether the Fitzgerald's sinking was just a tragic accident, or if it was part of a larger pattern of mysterious disappearances in the Great Lakes. The region has been the site of numerous strange vanishings, with entire ships, much like the Fitzgerald, simply disappearing without a trace. One of the most eerie of these cases occurred in 1914, when the USS Novad vanished while navigating the waters of Lake Michigan. Despite an extensive search, no wreckage or bodies were ever found, and the fate of the crew remains a complete mystery. Was the ship overwhelmed by a sudden storm, or did it fall victim to something darker, something that is yet to be discovered? The Great Lakes have long been known for their unpredictable weather, which can change rapidly and without warning. The region is particularly vulnerable to sudden violent storms that can transform calm waters into raging deadly seas in a matter of minutes. However, not all disappearances can be explained by the weather. Many of the ships that have vanished in the Great Lakes have done so in calm, clear conditions, leaving behind no signs of what went wrong. Some researchers believe that the disappearances in the Great Lakes may be tied to the region's geography. The lakes are large and deep, with hidden shoals, sudden drops in depth, and strong underwater currents that can easily sink a ship before its crew even has time to react. Others have suggested that the region may be home to underwater caves or even unexplored wrecks, which could be responsible for some of the mysterious disappearances. But even with all these theories, the truth remains elusive. Perhaps the most unsettling theory, however, is that the Great Lakes are haunted by the spirits of the lost ships. Over the years, there have been numerous reports of ghostly sightings and strange occurrences on the lakes, including sightings of ships that appear out of the mist and vanish before they can be approached. Some people have even reported hearing the eerie sound of a ship's horn, followed by the disembodied voices of the lost sailors. Whether these experiences are the product of overactive imaginations or the result of something more supernatural is a mystery in itself. The ghost fleet of the Great Lakes is just one more example of how the sea, whether it's saltwater or freshwater, holds its secrets tightly. The ships and souls lost in these waters may never be recovered, but their stories persist, told by the wind, the waves, and the fog that often cloaks the lakes. As you think about the ghostly ships that haunt the Great Lakes, consider how the mysteries of the water remain, waiting for someone to uncover them, if they ever can. The Dyatlov Pass of the sea, the horror of the SS Orang Medan. In the world of maritime mysteries, few stories are as chilling as that of the SS Orang Medan, a Dutch freighter that met its grisly fate in the 1940s. The ship's story is one of terror, a disturbing mystery that still sends shivers down the spine of anyone who hears it. The details surrounding the Orang Medan's last voyage are strange and unsettling, so much so that it feels more like something out of a horror story than a real-life tragedy. The story begins in 1947 when the Orang Medan, a cargo ship carrying a crew of 28, sent a distress signal to nearby vessels. The message was brief, but chilling. All officers, including the captain, are dead. The rest of the crew is dying. Then, the transmission ended abruptly. No one knows exactly what happened to the crew, but what followed was even more bizarre. Two ships in the vicinity, the Tulver Silver Star and the Tulver Silver Star's sister ship, responded to the distress call and made their way to the Orang Medan's last known location. When they boarded the ship, they found a scene of unimaginable horror. The crew was dead, their bodies frozen in unnatural positions, eyes wide open, mouths agape, faces contorted in expressions of sheer terror. There were no visible wounds or signs of physical trauma, just this overwhelming sense of dread that seemed to permeate the ship. Even more unsettling, the crew members were found in various positions. Some were sprawled out on the deck, others were near the radio equipment, and a few were even in the ship's hold. But no one could explain why they had died, or what had caused them to die in such a horrific manner. To make matters worse, the ship itself seemed to be cursed. As the rescuers attempted to tow the vessel, a strange fire broke out on board, forcing them to abandon their efforts. The Orang Medan was left to sink into the ocean, taking its mysterious secrets with it. Despite extensive searches, the wreck was never found, and the fate of the ship and its crew remains one of the most puzzling mysteries in maritime history. Over the years, numerous theories have been proposed to explain the tragic fate of the SS Orang Medan. Some have suggested that the crew was the victim of poisoning, possibly from toxic fumes or dangerous chemicals carried in the ship's cargo hold. Others have posited that the crew died from some sort of psychogenic illness, a kind of mass hysteria that caused them to die in fear. Some more outlandish theories include the possibility of an encounter with some kind of supernatural force or an alien presence that caused the crew to perish in such a strange manner. But no matter the theory, the true cause of the crew's death remains a mystery to this day. One of the most unsettling aspects of the story is the fact that no survivors were ever found. The distress call was the last communication from the ship, and after that, there were no further messages, no explanations, and no remains. Was the Orang Medan simply the victim of a tragic accident, or did something far more sinister happen aboard that ship? Was there a force at play that no one could understand, one that caused the crew to die in such a horrific, unexplained way? The mystery of the SS Orang Medan has become a staple of maritime lore, a tale of horror and intrigue that continues to haunt those who hear it. Was it an accident, a tragedy, or something far worse? No matter how much we try to make sense of it, the truth remains elusive, buried deep beneath the waves where the Orang Medan vanished. Perhaps it's better that way. After all, some mysteries are better left unsolved, their secrets floating in the depths of the sea forever beyond our reach. Sea serpents, myths and facts blurred by time. The sea, vast and mysterious, has always been a source of wonder and fear. And for centuries, one of the most enduring legends that has haunted the waves is the story of sea serpents, massive snaking creatures that supposedly lurk beneath the surface, waiting to strike. From the ancient texts of sailors to the modern-day stories of mysterious sightings, the idea of giant sea serpents has become a staple of maritime folklore. But how much of this is myth, and how much might be rooted in fact? The most famous sea serpent sightings date back to the 19th century, when sailors reported encountering massive snake-like creatures in the deep waters of the ocean. Some describe them as having long serpentine bodies, with heads that resembled dragons or serpents of myth. Others claimed that the creatures had eyes that glowed in the dark and tails that could whip the waves into a frenzy. These sightings were often accompanied by a sense of dread, with sailors believing that encountering a sea serpent was a sign of impending doom. The sea serpent was also a common figure in ancient maritime cultures. Norse mythology, for example, tells of the Midgard serpent, a colossal creature that encircled the world. Ancient Greek sailors told stories of sea monsters, including serpents that would attack ships and drag them beneath the waves. These ancient tales were often exaggerated for dramatic effect, but they may have been based on actual encounters with large marine creatures that were misunderstood or misrepresented by the sailors of the time. One of the most famous modern-day sightings occurred in 1937, when a Norwegian ship reported encountering a creature with a long, sinuous body and multiple humps that rose and fell as it moved through the water. The crew managed to take several photographs of the creature, though many skeptics argue that the images are simply the result of a log or a group of seals. Nonetheless, the incident sparked renewed interest in the idea of sea serpents and whether such creatures could actually exist in the deep oceans. The scientific community, however, remains largely skeptical. Marine biologists point out that while there are many large creatures in the ocean, such as whales, giant squid, and even massive fish, there is little evidence to support the existence of a giant snake-like creature lurking in the depths. The theory that sea serpents could be giant unknown species has largely been debunked, as no physical evidence of such creatures has ever been found. However, some researchers suggest that sightings of sea serpents could be the result of misidentified marine animals, such as whales or large fish, that were mistaken for serpents in the heat of the moment. But even if sea serpents are nothing more than the stuff of legend, they continue to captivate the imaginations of those who sail the seas. The idea that there are creatures so large and powerful that they could terrorize sailors is an unsettling thought, especially in the vast, uncharted depths of the oceans. And perhaps that is why the legend of the sea serpent endures, even in the face of modern scientific skepticism. For some, the sea serpent represents the unknown, those parts of the ocean that remain unexplored and mysterious, where anything is possible. The sea is full of strange, unexplained phenomena, and the idea of a sea serpent adds another layer of intrigue to the already eerie waters. As you think about the tales of these mythical creatures, consider the possibility that there are still secrets hidden beneath the waves, secrets that even science has yet to uncover. Whether they are real or simply the product of imagination, the stories of sea serpents serve as a reminder that the ocean is not just a vast body of water. It is a realm full of mysteries waiting to be discovered. And perhaps, just beyond the horizon, there are creatures that we have yet to fully understand. The sea holds many secrets, and who's to say what might still be out there, lurking in the depths? The lost city of Atlantis, sunken mystery or fable. For millennia, the story of Atlantis has captivated the imaginations of adventurers, historians, and scientists alike. Described as a powerful and advanced civilization, Atlantis was said to be a utopian society that vanished beneath the waves in a single day and night of catastrophe. The tale of Atlantis, told by the philosopher Plato, has sparked countless theories about its existence, with some believing it to be a real city that once thrived in ancient times, while others dismiss it as a mythological fable. So, what's the truth? Did Atlantis truly exist, or is it merely the stuff of legend? The first recorded mention of Atlantis comes from Plato's dialogues, Timaeus and Enchiridion, written around 360 BCE. In these works, Plato describes Atlantis as a powerful island nation located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, what we now call the Strait of Gibraltar. According to Plato, Atlantis was an advanced civilization with vast wealth, stunning architecture, and incredible technological achievements. But due to its hubris and corruption, Atlantis was said to have angered the gods, resulting in its sudden and catastrophic destruction. In a single day, the entire island allegedly sank into the sea, disappearing without a trace. Plato's story of Atlantis is rich with detail and has inspired generations of scholars to search for the lost city. Some have speculated that Atlantis was based on real historical events or locations. For example, some believe that Atlantis could have been inspired by the ancient Minoan civilization, which lived on the island of Crete and experienced a catastrophic collapse around 1600 BCE. The Minoans were known for their advanced architecture, art, and technology, much like the society described by Plato. When the Minoans were struck by a volcanic eruption and subsequent tsunamis, it could have left an impression on ancient storytellers, leading to the creation of the Atlantis myth. Others argue that Atlantis is nothing more than a cautionary tale, a myth created by Plato to illustrate the dangers of excessive pride and the consequences of human folly. According to this view, Atlantis never existed, and the story was simply a fable invented by Plato to make a philosophical point about the rise and fall of civilizations. In this case, Atlantis is more metaphor than reality, meant to symbolize the inevitable downfall of a great power when it becomes morally corrupt. Despite the lack of concrete evidence, the legend of Atlantis has continued to fascinate explorers and treasure hunters for centuries. Many expeditions have been launched in search of the lost city, but no evidence has ever been found to confirm its existence. Some researchers believe that the legend of Atlantis could be based on real events that occurred during ancient times, such as the destruction of the city of Thera, modern-day Santorini, which was caused by a massive volcanic eruption. The eruption devastated the island, wiping out an advanced civilization and leaving behind ruins that some believe might have inspired the Atlantis myth. Other theories place Atlantis in far-flung locations around the world, from the Caribbean to the Mediterranean, and even Antarctica. These theories are often fueled by the belief that advanced civilizations existed in prehistoric times, far before recorded history. According to these ideas, Atlantis was a highly advanced society that possessed technology far beyond what was known in ancient times, and its destruction was the result of a catastrophic event, such as a comet impact or an earthquake. While these ideas are speculative, they continue to fuel interest in the Atlantis legend. Despite the many theories and speculations, the question remains, did Atlantis ever exist? Some historians and archaeologists argue that the story of Atlantis is a myth, while others hold out hope that it will one day be discovered beneath the ocean's depths. For now, the legend of Atlantis remains a tantalizing mystery, one that continues to inspire those who dream of finding a lost world buried beneath the waves. As you think about the tale of Atlantis, consider the idea that there may be more to this legend than just a fanciful story. Could it be that an ancient civilization did once exist and then disappeared, leaving only whispers of its existence? Or is Atlantis nothing more than a symbol, a reminder of the fragile nature of human civilization and the unpredictable power of the sea? Shipwrecks and cursed treasures, what lies beneath? The sea is a graveyard for countless ships that have met their end in violent storms during treacherous battles or as the result of sheer misfortune. But alongside the wreckage of these lost vessels, there are also stories of cursed treasures, hoards of gold, silver, and precious artifacts, guarded by the vengeful spirits of those who died to protect them. The idea that a treasure can be cursed is one of the most enduring tales in maritime folklore, and many sailors have believed that seeking out these riches can bring nothing but doom. One of the most famous cursed treasures is the treasure of the Flor de la Mar, a Portuguese ship that sank off the coast of Sumatra in 1511. The ship, which was carrying a vast fortune in gold and silver, was lost when it sank in a storm. According to legend, the treasure was never recovered, and many believe that it is cursed. Over the years, numerous expeditions have been launched in search of the Flor de la Mar's treasure, but none have been successful. Some believe that the curse of the ship's treasure ensures that anyone who seeks it out will meet an untimely and tragic end. The story of cursed treasures doesn't end with the Flor de la Mar. There are countless other tales of sunken ships, each carrying a fortune in gold or jewels only to be lost to the sea. One such story is that of the Nuestra Señora de Atocha, a Spanish galleon that sank in 1622 off the coast of Florida. The ship was carrying a fortune in treasure, including gold, silver, and emeralds, but it was lost in a hurricane. For centuries, the wreck remained undisturbed, and the treasure was considered lost forever. However, in 1985, treasure hunter Mel Fisher and his team discovered the wreck and recovered millions of dollars worth of gold and silver. Yet the discovery came at a high cost. Fisher's son was killed in a tragic accident, and Fisher himself faced years of legal battles and misfortune. Many believe that the curse of the Atocha treasure was responsible for the hardships he faced. Some believe that cursed treasures are not just the result of misfortune, but that they are actually protected by supernatural forces. The spirits of the sailors who died protecting the treasure are said to haunt the wrecks, ensuring that no one can recover their riches. This belief is especially prevalent in the stories of pirate treasure. Pirates were notorious for burying their loot in secret locations, and many of their treasures are said to be cursed. The idea of cursed pirate treasure has been perpetuated by stories like that of Captain Kidd, whose treasure has never been fully recovered. Some believe that Kidd's treasure is cursed, and that anyone who attempts to find it will meet a grisly end. Of course, there are those who dismiss these stories as nothing more than superstition and folklore. They argue that the misfortunes that befall treasure hunters are simply the result of bad luck or poor decisions. But for those who believe in the curse of the sea, the idea that there is treasure out there waiting to be claimed but never truly recovered is a tantalizing thought. Could there really be treasure beneath the waves, protected by spirits and supernatural forces? Or is it just the stuff of legend? Regardless of whether or not cursed treasure exists, the idea that the sea holds riches, and that those riches come at a cost, remains a captivating mystery. The sea has always been a place of both fortune and danger, where the pursuit of wealth can lead to glory or ruin. And perhaps that is what makes the stories of cursed treasures so alluring. They speak to the darker side of the human desire for wealth and the price that must sometimes be paid for greed. As you reflect on the tales of cursed treasures, consider the many shipwrecks that remain undiscovered, their riches still lying deep beneath the waves. Could one of them hold a fortune waiting to be found? Or are they simply the remnants of a time long gone, their treasures lost forever to the depths of the ocean? The sea, with all its mysteries, will likely never give up its secrets easily, but that only makes the search for these treasures all the more enticing. The Black Sea, a graveyard of ancient ships. The Black Sea, bordered by Europe, Asia, and the Middle East, has long been a region of mystery and intrigue. But beneath its surface lies something even more enigmatic, an ancient graveyard of shipwrecks. The Black Sea's unique geography, coupled with its low-oxygen waters, has preserved a vast number of wrecks from antiquity, offering a glimpse into a time long past. Yet the stories of these ships, of the lost civilizations they represent, raise more questions than answers. How many secrets are still buried under the Black Sea, waiting to be uncovered? The first thing that sets the Black Sea apart from other bodies of water is its unique environmental conditions. Below a certain depth, the water becomes anoxic, meaning it lacks oxygen and is unable to support most forms of life. This creates an unusual preservation environment where organic materials such as wood can survive for millennia without decaying. In 2000, a team of researchers discovered a nearly intact ancient Greek trading ship off the coast of Bulgaria, dating back to around 400 BCE. The ship's well-preserved state, despite being submerged for over 2,000 years, was a testament to the Black Sea's ability to preserve the past. This discovery was just one of many, and researchers believe that there may be hundreds, if not thousands, of shipwrecks scattered across the Black Sea floor, some from ancient Greek, Roman, and Byzantine times. These wrecks are more than just physical remnants of history. They represent the forgotten stories of civilizations that once thrived along the sea shores. And yet, many of these stories remain untold, as the ships that carry them still lie buried in the depths, their secrets locked away. One particularly fascinating discovery occurred in 2018, when a team of underwater archaeologists discovered an ancient shipwreck near the coast of Turkey. The ship, which had been submerged for over 2,400 years, was remarkably well preserved, with its structure and even some of its cargo still intact. The ship was identified as a Black Sea trireme, a type of warship used by the ancient Greeks. The find was groundbreaking, as it provided a rare glimpse into the naval warfare of ancient times and underscored the Black Sea's role as a key trade route in antiquity. Historians and archaeologists still argue about the true significance of the Black Sea's shipwrecks. Some suggest that the region was once a thriving maritime hub, with fleets of ships navigating its waters, engaged in trade and warfare. Others believe that the ships found in the Black Sea may have been victims of natural disasters, storms, tsunamis, or other catastrophic events that led to their demise. The sheer number of wrecks in the area suggests that the Black Sea was once a more dangerous place for sailors than we might have imagined, and many of these wrecks may have been lost in the pursuit of riches, power, or survival. One of the most unsettling aspects of the Black Sea's shipwrecks is the idea that there may be more to discover. Many wrecks have yet to be explored, and the sea's depths are still largely unexplored. Could there be ships from even older civilizations waiting to be found? Perhaps the wrecks of ships that sailed before recorded history, whose stories have long been forgotten. The Black Sea is still one of the least explored areas of the world's oceans, and it holds a treasure trove of secrets just beneath its surface. As you think about the ships lying in the Black Sea, consider what it would be like to be one of the researchers or explorers who uncovers these ancient remnants. Would you feel a sense of awe, knowing that you are connecting with a distant past, or would the thought of disturbing such an ancient graveyard bring a sense of unease? Perhaps it's the allure of the unknown, the thrill of finding something lost to time, that keeps people drawn to the Black Sea, eager to uncover its hidden treasures and secrets. The Black Sea remains a place of mystery, a place where history is preserved beneath the waves, waiting for those brave enough to uncover it. Its shipwrecks tell stories of ancient sailors, warriors, and traders who navigated its waters seeking fortune, glory, and survival. And as long as the Black Sea remains largely unexplored, its secrets will continue to beckon to those who dare to uncover them. The sinking of the SS Edmund Fitzgerald, a never-ending storm. On November 10, 1975, the SS Edmund Fitzgerald, a massive freighter that had been a staple on the Great Lakes for years, sailed into one of the most legendary storms in maritime history. It was a voyage that would end in tragedy, as the ship, along with its 29 crew members, vanished beneath the waves of Lake Superior. Despite being one of the largest and most well-built ships on the Great Lakes, the Edmund Fitzgerald succumbed to the fury of the storm, leaving behind nothing but questions, mystery, and one of the most enduring tales of loss at sea. The story of the Edmund Fitzgerald's final voyage is marked by eerie calm before the storm. On the morning of November 10th, the ship set out from Superior, Wisconsin, heading toward Detroit with a load of iron ore. The forecast called for a storm, but nothing that would raise alarms. However, as the day wore on, the storm worsened, with winds gusting up to 50 miles per hour and waves reaching 25 feet high. As night fell, the Fitzgerald found itself in the middle of one of the fiercest storms the Great Lakes had ever seen. The storm was so violent that it was later described as a gale, a force that seemed almost unnatural in its strength. As the Fitzgerald struggled to navigate the storm, it sent out several distress signals, including a final message to its sister ship, the Arthur M. Anderson. The message, which was the last anyone would hear from the Fitzgerald, indicated that the ship was having trouble with its rudder and was listing heavily. Despite the fact that the Anderson was close enough to offer assistance, the Fitzgerald was gone by the time help could reach it. Less than 15 minutes after its last transmission, the Edmund Fitzgerald sank into the icy waters of Lake Superior. The loss of the ship was instantaneous, and the storm seemed to claim it with no trace, no bodies, no wreckage, nothing left but the wreck at the bottom of the lake. The cause of the sinking remains a mystery. Many experts point to the storm itself, its immense power and unpredictable nature, as the primary culprit. However, no one can say for sure what happened that night. Some speculate that the ship's hull might have been breached by the tremendous pressure of the waves, causing it to flood and sink. Others point to the possibility of structural failure, with the ship's deck giving way under the strain of the storm. There are even those who believe the storm's fierce winds might have caused the Fitzgerald's cargo to shift, throwing the ship off balance and leading to its tragic demise. One of the most enduring mysteries surrounding the sinking of the Fitzgerald is the fact that no one really knows what happened in those final moments. The ship's cargo was lost, its crew vanished, and its wreckage was not found until years later, at a depth of 530 feet beneath the surface of Lake Superior. The discovery of the wreck, in 1977, provided some answers, but many questions remain. How did the ship break apart so suddenly? Was it simply the storm, or was there something more at play? The sinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald also left behind a powerful legacy of sadness and mystery, one that has captured the imagination of people for decades. The tragedy became so famous that it was immortalized in song by Gordon Lightfoot, whose haunting ballad "The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald" became a symbol of the ship's place in maritime history. The song tells the tale of the ship's final moments, capturing the sorrow and mystery of the event. As you reflect on the sinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald, consider the eerie sense of finality that surrounds it. The ship and its crew are gone, but the storm, the mystery, and the unanswered questions remain. The Great Lakes, with their deadly storms and unpredictable nature, continue to claim ships, but the story of the Edmund Fitzgerald stands out as one of the most tragic and mysterious maritime disasters of all time. Perhaps it is the nature of the storm, its strength, and its unpredictability that make the story of the Fitzgerald so haunting. Or perhaps it is the thought that the mystery of what happened that night may never be fully understood. In the end, the sinking of the SS Edmund Fitzgerald serves as a reminder of the immense power of nature, the vulnerability of human beings when they face it, and the mysteries that the sea in all its vastness continues to hold, undisturbed, deep beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered.